It's a very handsome group of people. In fact, I don't like standing in front of them. First thing you know, we always like unattractive teams, right?
That's true. He always tells the truth. You know what I love? I love it when Hollywood lectures us.
We can end this nightmare before it begins.
They should just vote because it matters, you know?
I hope that people don't blame you if an orange sexually assaulting Godzilla who started a fake college is up the entire planet a year or so from now. Hillary! Vote for Hillary!
What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump. I'd like to punch him in the face.
Oh, you're so thoughtful. You're so brave. As they see fit to judge us, yet they enable the creepiest behavior ever all around them. Where do they get off? Don't answer that. Everyone knew about Harvey. Everyone had a Harvey story. If it didn't happen to them, it happened to a friend or a friend's dog. Harvey was the creep that friends warned you about. Yeah, he'll buy you dinner, but your tongue is going to write the check. We've heard about a ton of victims and about his M.O. He'd arrange a meeting with a young female. He'd make sure other females were there so the target wouldn't get spooked and run away. Then the other women would bolt and he'd be left standing there, bathroom, bathrobe open, demanding some kind of service. Imagine that view. No, don't. Don't. Harvey in an open bathrobe. I keep thinking of the guy from Operation. It's but hairier. It's not funny. So why would he keep doing something so gross, so awful, over and over again? It's because he could. He assumed people would keep quiet about it because it's Harvey being Harvey. And he was right. They let him do it for decades because Hollywood is full of Harveys. It's not an open secret. It's their open understanding. Remember Meryl Streep lecturing us on Donald Trump?
This instinct to humiliate, when it's modeled by someone in the public platform, by someone powerful, it filters down into everybody's life because it kind of gives permission for other people to do the same thing. We need the principled press to hold power to account, to call them on the carpet for every outrage.
Who is she talking about again? She knew Harvey for years. She also gave a standing ovation to Roman Polanski, who drugged and sodomized a teen in a hot tub. No wonder Pervy Hervey thought the sky's the limit. So I'm thinking, I'm no longer going to take moral advice from Hollywood. Sorry. I was being sarcastic. I never was, but sorry, Meryl. Sorry, Quentin. Sorry, Oliver Stone. I just don't trust your judgment. But at least Hillary did react, finally.
I was shocked. I was appalled. It was something that was just intolerable in every way.
That didn't seem rehearsed at all. I think they're improving on her software. I'm not sure. Of course, it took a while for her to respond, but can you blame her? She's stuck by her husband, Bill, forever. She abdicated. We regurgitated. I can't resist a rhyme. Weinstein gave her money, expecting, I guess, silence in return. It's the progressive pig pass. If your heart's in the right place, your hands can go anywhere. But now the dam bursts and Hollywood's soaked. Does that mean that this pig pass is dead? Is being a male feminist no longer a cover for cads? Could Hollywood calling out their own misogyny lead them to do the same with other ideologies that encourage abuse on women and gays? Dream on. You're the deplorable ones, not ISIS. Let's welcome tonight's guest. That's always fun. He's so sharp that lumberjacks use his face to chop wood. Author of Up in the Air, also a great movie, and columnist at Harper's Magazine, Walter Kern. She's so bright that deer freeze in front of her. Legal analyst and former federal attorney Emily Campagno. I did it. She's as dour as a prison shower. National Review reporter Kat Tipp. It was a rhyme. And he's very attractive gravitationally because he's so big. Former bodyguard and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right. Walter, one of your books was made into a movie. You spent a lot of time in Hollywood. What do you make of this whole situation?
Well, first of all, these people who are shocked and appalled aren't hypocrites. They're liars. Everybody who got west of Reno in their pursuit of Hollywood knows about Harvey Weinstein. And everybody knows the game exactly. Here it is. Hollywood wants to produce as much violence and gore as it can get away with. And so it opposes gun violence. It wants to degrade sexually women on screen as much as possible. So it promotes feminism. Its game is out in the open for everyone to see. Everything that they accuse the rest of us of, they're doing themselves in spades. And this is going to be a meltdown because Harvey was not alone in those rooms a lot of the time. There will turn out to have been others, just like those women who so nicely left the room so that their friend could get harassed or raped. It's a terrible situation. And I mean, I wish I could joke about it, but you know, it's going to turn out to be much more awful than we think.
Yeah, I think so, too. Emily, what do you make of the possible punishment here? Because you have Rose McGowan plainly stating that that Weinstein raped her. I mean, there is no statute of limitations on this, I would assume, and...
Right. Well, actually, last year, California did away with the statute of limitations for rape. But what matters is the one that was in place at the time of the assault. So in California, criminally, it's 6 years, and civilly, it's 3. And so basically, that's why it's so crucial for women to come forward to their PDs and DAs as soon as possible for anything recent. And note, too, that a lot of he said, she said are what prosecutors decline to prosecute. So there needs to be evidence. That's why the corroboration of the witnesses, the complicit web we're hearing about, is so crucial. And also note that after the Catholic Church abuse scandals in California, there are now statutes that allow for lawsuits against those who knew about it and didn't take reasonable steps to stop it or mitigate it. Those are agents, those are representatives, those are the honeypots employed by Weinstein. Right. You said it in your monologue. The guys that would help lure the women in, make them feel safe, or the women's, they're on the hook civilly. And last point, London, the UK, does not have a statute of limitations. So the fact that they're investigating him right now, ironically, that could be the final hook for him.
And he's also, I think the police, the NYPD is looking into 2 cases as well of something that happened here. I love the phrase honeypot. It sounds so innocuous, but it's not. It's like these are people that are used to lure in women who don't know what's about to happen, and then they just kind of like disappear and go somewhere else. Kat, I guess Weinstein has been trucked off to some secret sex rehab location. Do you think that's actually going to help him? Do you think it's a sex addiction problem?
No.
No?
I think he may have known what he was doing was wrong, and he did it anyway.
Yeah.
That's what, you know. And it's always, it doesn't matter politically whether it's convenient for you or not. You need to speak out against these kinds of things. It's a harrowing experience to be a young woman and be abused by someone who's more powerful than you, and you feel like you can't say anything. So it shouldn't be a political issue. Everyone needs to universally condemn it. Bad guy. Quit. It's just so fitting that he's trying to make himself a victim. Like, I have a problem. You need to shut up and think about how many people you hurt, because if you do something like that to someone, that doesn't just go away. That is going to continue to affect that woman.
Tyrus, we talk about the casting couch, but it's not just Hollywood. It's wherever there's powerful...
How do you think Tyrus got his job?
Oh, terrible. Tyrus is going to pick you up...
Let me see if I got this right. 4 foot nothing, 100 nothing. Greg said, hey, you want to be in this job? Excuse me, little man?
It's 5 foot nothing, by the way.
Sorry. I was making a point.
Yes.
Don't hate me. Look, it is... Take Hollywood out of it. And just like in the Republican Party and even us here at home, we've all had to deal with those issues. But it has nothing to do with what side of the fence you're on. And it's a power thing. Unfortunately, as being a big member of group male, we got some growing up to do. And it's not just in Hollywood. It's also in Walmart. It's also in restaurants where a waitress wants an extra shift and there's a manager who controls the thing, and he's like, well, maybe if you went to the movies with me, or maybe if you hung out with me after work. It's a problem that I'm looking at it. The only way I think it can fix is if you are found guilty of sexual harassment in the workplace as a boss or whatever, I think you should have to register as a sex offender.
Wow. Well, that's pretty harsh. But I mean,
that would stop it.
It would tell you. I think it would definitely. But is that Emily? You're the lawyer here. If you did that, so that means, let's say if a guy asks a woman out, is that sexual harassment? Or if you ask her out repeatedly, that's sexual harassment. I mean, you're making.
You can't. Okay, to the extreme of what Weinstein was doing, or
that's a
you can't
crime.
Work unless I get a massage.
Yeah.
You can't. I can't put you on the schedule unless you meet me in my car 20 minutes before work. That can be proven, and those type of things. Or even a situation where a woman is forced to pay her bills. She says, if I don't do it, someone else is going to take this job.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it. So that's where and him himself, when he didn't have, and the honeypots is so important because that tape we all had to listen to, he didn't have his honeypots there to smooth it over.
Yeah.
So we heard this nasty, aggressive, begging stuff. Like me personally, I live by the 3 Ps.
What?
Please.
Yes.
Please. Please.
We shall end on that note. Please. Coming up, all the good stuff the president got done this week. We report the hystericals hide. So, how was Trump's week? We hear the media tell it. If we hear the media tell it, it was all about this.
For reasons Trump scholars could not figure out today, the insult spelling of little has changed in the Trump language.
Trump also escalated his war of words with GOP Senator Bob Corker today by ridiculing his height.
This is what the source said to me, a quote, "They knew he was pissed that people found out Tillerson called him a moron."
I don't want to skew the results, but the president might want to warm up with a closed-door White House staff-only spelling bee before he enters the world of pay-per-view competitive IQ tests.
It sounds like near-edge impeachment territory.
Sounds like a bad week. They're talking about words. If that's all you listen to, maybe it's a bad week. And for a lot of people, that's all they listen to. Which may explain why Chief of Staff John Kelly showed up at the White House briefing and said things like this.
I'm not quitting today. I don't think I'm being fired today. I don't think I'll fire anyone tomorrow. I'd say, maybe develop some better sources.
Whoa, that was a burn. So while some are caught up in palace intrigue, there's real stuff getting done. Did you know that unemployment claims fell to their lowest level in 43 years? Applaud. That means more jobs are available and people are working again. Unless you're an Antifa, then you're just pooping in a bag. I can see you. You're doing it right now. Stop pooping in that bag. Also, did you see the New York Times piece about the 1,000 ISIS members in Iraq surrendering in droves? That's great news. And you know why it's happening now? Because we got a leader that promised to bomb the out of them. And then he did. He did. That's called a promise fulfilled in blood. And then the president went back to health care to fulfill a promise he made to the American people. Sounds like the start of a movie trailer.
In a world of broken promises.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan.
And even more broken promises.
If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor.
When a nation was told it was a big effing deal. One man enters to heal the damage.
It has been a nightmare.
This Christmas, lower price, higher quality, health care options.
So many options.
A man on a unicorn eating a cheesesteak while hailing a cab during Rush Hour Films presents Donald Trump, Rand Paul, and Kirk Cameron as Mike. Executive Action 9, Healthcare Unleashed.
So, all in all, it was a pretty good week. But how could you know when the media blows? Emily, what do you think? Do you think that this strategy, like where he has all these distractions, is actually helping him so he gets work done? Or is it just something that just the only thing the media can fixate on are his tweets and his words and the palace intrigue?
No, I think it cheats the American public, frankly, and I think it's a short-term investment in ad revenue, and it's in exchange basically for long-term investment in actual policy, and it kind of undermines, I think, the intelligence of the public being allowed to know what's going on, be allowed to participate in it. And I just want to acknowledge that we've made so many strides in Syria and Iraq because the president has empowered the military leaders with the boots on ground there, and under the Obama administration, he kept such a tight control on those decisions. Every decision was so politicized, and it came from the top down, so it took forever. And that kind of rapid results, the fact that we're not knowing about it, we're not learning about it, again, I think it's cheating the American public.
It is. It's also amazing. I wonder if they can't show what's happening with ISIS because it's just ugly as hell. I mean, I don't think they're taking. The prisoners are giving up because we aren't taking prisoners. Imagine how that works. It's like, whoa, these were supposed to be martyrs. They were supposed to be martyrs. They're not martyrs anymore. Walter, do you think average people or just regular people give a damn about Trump's gaffes and they give him a pass because he's right on important stuff?
Listen, this is a guy who said on tape that he grabbed women by the genitals and he was still elected president. Nobody gives a damn about his misspellings, his insulting people for being short, and so on. The only people who care about that are these networks who have started a Trump melodrama, a soap opera. You know, the vulgar, insane Donald Trump, what will it take to get him impeached? And any news that doesn't fit that story gets excised. And the other reason that we get this stuff is because people get their news on their phones now. And the headlines are always, you won't believe what Trump said. Yes. Trump insults someone, da-da-da-da. Those all fit on an Apple iPhone screen and get you to click. You know, we're beating ISIS. That takes a longer time to get you interested.
Yeah. Tyrus, I will admit, though, that I'm guilty because I actually like the superficial fluff as well. I like the hearing these stories, even if they turn out not to be true. I like hearing about the feuds.
I don't. And I don't. Because I'm a big proponent of in-house.
Yeah.
Keep your stuff in-house. Corker and Trump, that should have been handled behind closed doors. It makes me worry when teammates on the same side are supposed to work, and they can disagree. You and I have disagreed on stuff, but I didn't call you names, and you didn't, act like, oh, well, you begged me for a job. I mean, it became personal.
You would promptly apologize for being wrong.
You can quit. Watch it. You can quit. Disagreeing on policy should not be ending of friendships and feuds, because we see this stuff. Our kids see this stuff. Like, it's not good for the country to see that. Corker and him can disagree, but Corker telling him he needs to be in a daycare and him telling he begged him for a job. We just don't need that. And then it just continues to give hours and hours of ridiculous debate for anybody who wants to hear it. What would Don Lemon do if he didn't have all that stuff going on? Or, what would they talk about?
He would make lemonade.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. Kat, I kind of disagree with Tyrus, but I'm going to point that to you so he doesn't get mad at me. I disagree with Tyrus. I think he's dead wrong. I happen to enjoy these feuds because, meanwhile, all this other stuff is getting done, and nobody's paying attention. All of these... There are so many things that are happening that the media can't put...
Ask me the question.
I can't. I'm making a point.
You're saying I'm wrong about how I feel. That's insane. Kat, do something.
It'll be my
Kat,
Sunday.
respond to why Tyrus is wrong.
Well, look, in terms of the media not reporting on this stuff, they really can't, because that would be them admitting that President Trump has actually done something good.
Right.
It's really hard to say that more jobs and less ISIS is a bad thing. But they could try. They could try. They could do the ISIS surrendering and just do the headline as President Trump making so many give up on their dreams. They could try
That was a pretty good joke, I have to say.
Thank you.
Future immigrants humiliated.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I think we got more show to come, and it's going to be awesome. The Boy Scouts will now allow girls, and the Girl Scouts aren't happy. We report, you roll your eyes. Their face is blurred. It's a bout between the Scouts. For the first time in its 100-year history, the Boy Scouts will begin accepting girls into its program. But why, you ask? Because they smell great. No, it's because the Boy Scouts say it wants to help nurture all young people and, quote, shape the next generation of leaders. Well, that actually sounds nice. Unless you're the Girl Scouts. They nurture young people, too, and they don't like the Boy Scouts stepping on their turf. The organization gave a scathing statement to ABC News. Quote, the Boy Scouts house is on fire. Instead of addressing systemic issues of continuing sexual assault, financial mismanagement, and deficient programming, BSA senior management wants to add an accelerant to the house fire by recruiting girls. Whew, that was a statement. And it was kind of harsh. Don't mess with the Girl Scouts. I'm going to buy more cookies just in case. But anyway, I don't have a horse. I don't have a horse in this race. I don't even have a horse. Shaping the next generation of leaders is a good thing, though, whether it's through Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or no Scouts. I was never a scout. I was a no scout, and I turned out fine, I think. But there is a group I would join if it existed.
Do you regret not joining the Boy Scouts as a kid? Do you find yourself struggling with things many other guys do with ease? Then you need to join Man Scouts. Man Scouts! Each week you'll learn a sweet new skill, stuff that every grown-ass man should know how to do, including chop wood, drive stick shift, fix a toilet, dress your age, cook a steak, change a tire, build a shed, tie a tie, throw a ball, throw a punch, play poker, and change a diaper. Man Scouts! And the best part of Man Scouts, each week you'll learn directly from our special guest instructors, including Clint Eastwood, Buzz Aldrin, Chuck Norris, David Ortiz, Denzel Washington, Lou Dobbs, Michael Jordan, Jackie Chan, Brett Favre, Liam Neeson, Tyrus, Kurt Russell, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Brawny Man, and special guest, the 86 Mets. So don't delay. Join Man Scouts today. Man Scouts!
I didn't get the 86 Mets joke. That was like an East Coast thing. I don't like that kind of humor. Make the humor more universal. Guy who wrote that. I'm a Giants fan. What can I say? San Francisco Giants. Cats!
Yes?
Does it matter whether girls join Boy Scouts, Boy Scouts join Girl Scouts? What do you think?
I was a Girl Scout.
Really?
All the way through juniors. And honestly, this whole shaping future generations thing, the only thing I learned the entire time is that Tina was not a true friend. That's all that I learned. And my mom became the troop leader, like to show an interest in my life, which was very nice. But then when everyone wanted to watch Titanic, she was like, Catherine's not allowed to watch that. There's a naked lady in it. And now it's like 20 years later, and I still haven't seen a single naked lady.
Missing out.
Tyrus, huh? You can still say that. That is not considered harassment.
Listen, I was a Boy Scout, Troop 315. Mr. Cruz was my scoutmaster, and I was in a single-parent family who worked nights, so never saw her ass. And the Boy Scouts was tremendous for me, and I learned a lot about what it is to be a young man and be responsible. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have a stake in this. We did things with our scoutmaster where we would go on hikes. You had to earn your stuff. You had to totems. You had to learn how to wield an axe and knife. And some of that stuff doesn't really work in downloads of iPads and stuff today, but still gets a little grit underneath your nails and teaches you what the purpose of hard work. My concern is that I think the Girl Scouts offered the same thing, right? But there was something about Boy Scouts because the goal was we're teaching you how to be a young man. When you see an old lady across the street, you go to help her because that's what a young man does. Yeah. Those lessons go with you. My only concern is because I know that when we got in Mr. Cruz Winnebago and we drove to Red Rock to go on a 10-mile hike on our backpacks and earn our merit badges and stuff, I don't know how that would have went if there was 3 or 4 girls in that thing, because we would have been frozen up because there's a difference there.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to worry about sharing tents and stuff like that. When we took all that pressure out and who's cool, which girl's gonna like me better, all that was there because you were just
and there's certain things you can't do, like pick your nose.
I'm not being sexist. I'm just but you know what?
You can pick your nose in Girl Scouts.
There's certain things and you can do the same thing in Boy Scouts. But my thing is, like, I think in this situation, I think separate is better, just in terms of molding minds. But what do you think? I've been out the game for a minute.
Emily?
I think the saddest part to me is the fact that the Girl Scouts came out with such the scathing response and said they were blindsided by the announcement.
Yes.
And I also feel, as an attorney, that they are absolutely opening themselves up the Pandora's box of having prepubescent children together co-ed. And there are a ton of camps and opportunities for young children in co-ed opportunities. And this was maybe the last bastion that wasn't, that they could actually have that same gender experience.
Yeah, Jamboree isn't supposed to be Jamboree, you know what I'm saying?
So,
I didn't even know what that means. I had no idea. I didn't belong to any group growing up. I spent a lot of time alone crying.
Matter of fact, one of the games we used to play is like you had to get dressed quick. So you'd be in your sleeping bag and you jump out in your underwear and you get dressed, get the backpack and everything folded up. You can't have no girls do. I mean.
Yeah, no.
You know, someone developed.
I learned how to do that. I learned how to do that in high school. Hey, Walter, thoughts? I need to know what's in your brain.
Scouts? Number one, the reason I wouldn't join Boy Scouts was because there were no girls. Now that there will be, there's going to be a whole new motivation for a whole new kind of guy who's not just interested in Indian, woodsman lore.
All of a sudden, Roman Polanski is going to be a troop leader.
Also, Harvey Weinstein will now have a chance to direct the shaping of young girls' lives, which, I don't know. The scout leaders I knew were creepy enough.
Don't smear an entire group of people, Walter. That's what I do.
The Girl Scouts smeared an entire group. Why can't I?
All right. You know what I think? I think, we're making all these we're trying to erase gender differences. What if we started erasing age differences? What if, if we don't think it's genders are all, if we think genders are all the same, then maybe maybe I can join the Girl Scouts. Because why are we paying attention to age anymore if we're not paying attention to gender? Why can't animals join? I want to be in that little dog. You know that dog competition?
No.
I want to be a dog. I want to join. Do you know that there's?
You want to be best in show?
I want to be best in show. I want to be a dog.
There's a lot going on over here.
I like wearing collars.
Virtual reality is going to allow all.
Usually on the weekend, you can find me downtown. I dance under the name Little. Never mind.
Never better time to buy gold, ladies and gentlemen.
Little Bob Corker. All right, coming up. Brats at the University of Michigan harass author Charles Murray. He must have interrupted their nap time. They hate his words, so they act like turds. I speak of conservative author Charles Murray. That's him on the left, I'm on the right. Whose speech was interrupted this week by protesters at the University of Michigan. Go Cornhuskers. They took issue with Murray's 1994 book, The Bell Curve, which they never read because there are too many words. It examines the relationship between human IQ and race, but I wouldn't know because I didn't read it either. Students turned off lights, played loud music on their phones, and the heckling began almost immediately. Dr. Charles Murray. It's like the reverse of a rock concert. Instead of yelling Freebird. Murray tried to take questions, but that didn't go well either.
No questions asked! Leave our campus! You're not welcome here!
That same young whippersnapper also had a theory about Republicans and suits.
If you're a Republican and you're in here, they're killing us! No. Anyone who has a suit and is a Republican, they're killing us. You, sir, you are killing us.
Oh, he'll make a great husband. Unlike the recent crap at Berkeley, there was no violence. The protesters eventually left, and Murray finished his speech, and the students returned to what they normally do.
What are you doing?
I know.
What have you been doing to your brother?
I know.
You don't know?
I just scrub with him.
You were scrubbing him?
Yeah.
Oh, Ethan.
Who doesn't want to be covered in peanut butter? Tyrus, I love how people equate free speech with suppression of free speech. So if you can say, well, those kids are just exercising their right of free speech. No, they're doing it to silence somebody.
And the best part was, dude didn't have nobody with him.
Yeah.
You're killing us, right, guys? Guys?
Where did you go?
Yo. Seriously? Bro, like you said you were going to say something with me. Like, come on. You know what, man? Just like the Boy Scouts, man. This time's passing by. I can remember when I was in college and we had a speaker that was coming and I disagreed with him.
Yeah.
I would ask him a question trying to understand why I disagree with him.
Exactly.
You know.
This is why.
I mean, if They even sung, that's the sweetest white supremacist race. They sung it. He's racist. I'm like, I wouldn't even know to be offended if they was calling me black slurs, but they sang it. I'd be like, well.
Kat, you've written about this many times. Is this a typical example?
It is a pretty typical example. It's because they've been conditioned at these schools that if they're uncomfortable, it's everyone else's problem. And it's everyone's responsibility to make sure that they feel comfortable at all places, at all times. And that's certainly not how it works. I think that it was, like you said, kind of a pathetic showing of a protest. If I were him, I would have just started dancing or something, you know? I think that would have been so the only way to counter speech you don't like is more speech or dancing.
Dancing is wonderful. It's a form of speech at my home. You know, Walter, I think there's a bigger agenda here. If you remove speech, if you cut out conversation, the only option left is violence. So if you were saying to the other side, shut up, that means the only thing the only way you're going to settle an argument is with fists or knives or guns.
Or by having sex with each other.
Yes, that's true.
There will be no speech. The only forms of interaction will be, fighting and effing. But
effing.
Have you spent time on a college campus recently? I mean, I was in East Germany before the wall fell. You were freer there than you are on a college campus. And I do spend time on them.
Yeah.
Everyone's an informer.
Yeah.
Everybody you're sitting next to might be turning you in tomorrow. And no one will tell you what the crimes are until you're charged with them.
So true. That is so true.
It's a scary place. I am so much freer sitting here on Fox News in front of all of America than I am in a college cafeteria.
That quote has to be on a T-shirt. If you own a T-shirt company, I want you to make that T-shirt and send it to me. But I will pay the charges. Last word, Emily.
I'm from the Bay Area.
Me too.
The Go Raiders.
San Mateo. I was 49er fan.
Not Giants.
Where are you at? Oakland?
Born in Oakland, raised in El Cerrito.
Oh,
so
wow.
Berkeley was my stomping grounds. That campus was where I grew up, essentially. And I think what disturbs me the most about it is that our education in that community was about engagement and dialogue and peaceful action. And who is making a difference and really engaging are those quiet people that are out there in the communities talking about policy with their elected officials or campaigning for elected officials, or it's everything that these students are not. And all I'm hearing are slogans and violence. It has nothing to do with actual discussion or dialogue. And as president of the Federalist Society in law school a million years ago, we were dedicated toward bringing both sides of every debate to campus. And it wasn't so long ago that there isn't room for the spectrum, but it seems like this is just a totally different world than I knew.
Yeah, there's no such thing as sides anymore. It's either you're with us or you're dead. That's the way they look. And it's identity politics. Once it infects, it destroys from within. All right, on that happy note, when we come back, a segment on rap. We hear Eminem hates the POTUS. Too bad his side didn't outvote us. This week, Eminem, the poor man's insane clown posse, ripped President Trump in a freestyle rap that aired during BET's Hip Hop Awards. Note, a freestyle rap is what you really call bad rap. It featured the usual complaints. For one, that the president focuses on the wrong things.
Plus, he gets an enormous reaction when he attacks the NFL, so we focus on that instead of talking Puerto Rico with gun reform for Nevada.
That sounds really familiar. I wonder if he heard that somewhere before.
It's slightly outrageous that he spent the entire weekend tweeting about the NFL while Puerto Rico is drowning.
Eminem also made the obvious joke.
Racism's the only thing he's fantastic for, because that's how he gets his off and he's orange.
First off, "for" doesn't rhyme with orange. Nor was it original.
Politics is the exact opposite, especially when the rival team is a racist Clementine.
Clementine is what they call orange in Clementine land. I don't know what I've never had a Clementine before. It's just, it's a baby orange.
It's like a tangerine, but it grew up in the East Coast.
Eminem concluded with a message to his fans who also support the president.
Any fan of mine who's a supporter of his, I'm drawing in the sand a line. You're either for or against. And if you can't decide, I'll do it for you with this.
You. Well, that was stupid.
But they blurred it out.
I know. But others are following his lead.
So tonight I say to any fans of this show who are also big fans of Donald Trump, it's time to make a decision, guys. Get off the fence.
We went to the original Eminem for comment.
Oh yeah, Cat. Words of wisdom. Drop that zero and get with the hero.
You throwing some serious dissing, man.
Look, Tyrus, Eminem is like 46, I think, or 44. I mean, at this point, that's when a rapper becomes an actor, right? You're supposed to get out of the business
and become Ice Cube.
And become Ice Cube or
Ice Cube, different.
LL Cool J is in what, CSI?
Right.
He's not getting the job offers.
Well, there's a subtle difference.
Yeah.
Eminem is still platinum every time he steps out his house.
Oh, he's a good rapper.
So yeah, with the exception of guys who aren't here anymore to perform, he's probably the best. And whenever he goes away, and when he comes out and speaks, people listen.
You know what?
He's just who he is.
At 44, I think it's the time for him to open up a chain of strip club / car washes.
But that's like saying James Brown sang too long. Like, rap is still music, and as long as this guy is every time his album he sells, like, this is an interesting dynamic because his fan base is the same younger base as Trump, so it's an interesting.
That's a good point.
There's an interesting dynamic because, but the other thing is, he's becoming what he hates. He's preaching division, and then the talk shows got on there and they just politely or cracked a joke, but let's divide.
Yeah.
So if President Trump side's doing that, you're doing it too. So I mean. Yeah. You can. It's too bad, but that's the route. They want division.
What Tyrus is saying, Kat, I think, is that Eminem is now a Huffington Post blogger with rhythm.
Hardly. So I'm from Detroit. We all like Eminem. He is a very talented rapper. I will say that was not as catchy as the real Slim Shady at all whatsoever. And I know that a lot of people who really support Trump could see something like that and be upset about it, which I understand. But one thing that everyone can be glad about when they watch that is say, oh, wow, we live in this great country, because in many, many other countries, you would get your head chopped off for doing something like that.
That is
true.
So
you look at that and you say, wow, we are really, truly free, the way that we can just criticize our leaders like this. I love the First Amendment and I love the Constitution.
Very good. Applause. Obvious applause line. Obvious applause line.
She went like this.
I love the Constitution too. Yeah. Walter.
You gotta say Constitution and they'll clap.
Freestyle rap is tennis without a net.
First of all, you can either choose to rhyme or be logical, and he chose to rhyme. Second of all, why is he always in the same mood about everything? I mean, he's always, whether it's Moby, I'm gonna, Donald Trump, his ex-wife who he sang about killing.
Right, and his mother.
And he's talking about killing his mother, and he's, written the most homophobic lyrics of all time, and he's calling out Trump for what exactly? I still don't get it. What was the critique?
No, there was none, although it was quite stylishly done, Emily. What do you think?
I think it wasn't that good of a freestyle, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I agree with you that the hypocrisy, it's just like, why now? Why now when everything else that you've said in the past has been just as divisive? I think it also plays into that you're with us or you're against mentality that we're all trying to step away from and to actually be on the spectrum. And I think I'd rather hear from other members of the hip-hop community. I'll just say that. Because hip-hop and rap have...
You want to hear from me then?
Yes.
As a member of the hip-hop community, although it's quite different, I collect bunnies.
They call him Double G.
Double G, yes. Yes, the hip-hop community.
He's not the only member of it, so he shouldn't be the mouthpiece. And like I said, I'd rather hear from other ones.
One of the biggest voices. You got to understand that when he talks, they listen.
He's the Seals and Crofts of rap.
Yeah.
Can he battle Kid Rock?
Kid Rock wouldn't hold a candle.
Why would he want to hold a candle? Final thoughts! Next!
Double G, ladies and gentlemen. Double G.
I shall see you Monday on the 5 at 5 p.m. Eastern. We got to run, so no time for final thoughts. Special thanks to Walter Kern, Emily Campagno, Catherine Toog, Taurus, and our delightful studio audience. I am Greg Gutfeld, and I love you, America.